Go for it. I mean, we could talk about it in the live. Like,
Yeah.
if Hendon Hooker beats Georgia, like, lock his name in the top 15 to 20 picks, like, easily. Like,
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
do you think? Okay, it's say hypothetical scenario, Tampa's at like the 12th pick. Do you think they would take him, Hendon?
I'm lukewarm on the idea of him being my quarterback, but I do
Fair.
think they would be interested in. And like I know Jason Light does value, in
Readiness.
quarterback, he values like starting experience and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. Like that's why they took Trask, which I don't love about their quarterback evaluations because I think they should have taken a shot on
Right.
Howell in the mid rounds this year. If their 4th round pick, I don't know why they didn't take a shot on Sam Howell personally. But anyways, we're live. We hit the live button mid conversation, but we are live. Going to go over some of the week 9 news, injuries, all that kind of stuff, and to answer your questions as usual. So let's go rapid fire. We always go too long in these injury segments. So let's start with the guys that are out. I'll just list them out real quick. You can touch on whatever guys you want to touch on. Jonathan Taylor out with the ankle. Deion Jackson in your lineups, top 20 running back. I'm sure we're going to get questions about him. Keenan Allen, again, out with the hamstring injury. Sounds like he re-aggravated on the bye. Doesn't sound very good. Not looking great for him. It looks like a Julio Jones type of situation from last year. Chuba Hubbard out with the ankle. Deontay Foreman, top 15 running back. No questions asked.
Easy.
Corey Davis out with the knee. We don't know if that means Elijah Moore is finally going to get on the field. By the sounds of it, it sounds like Denzel Mims is impressing the coaching staff. So we might get another Elijah Moore 40% of the routes type of game, and that's not going to be great.
I mean, the one that benefits, I think, the most from it, given his obviously Garrett Wilson, but I mean, like, out of the tertiary options, is given his route participation, given his recent target share, like, Tyler Conklin's a fringe top 15.
I have a alt receiving yards line on Tyler Conklin 50+ receiving yards. It's like plus 380 odds, and I'm like, with Corey Davis out, I think it's a pretty solid bet to make.
He's gotten some really good involvement this year in terms of his, like, he's like an 80+ route participation guy. Side note, your boy Cade Otton. I know it's not injury news, but this guy
ran good streamer this week. Yeah, getting good routes and
92% of the
I think
routes.
the Bucs could turn it around this week. It seems like this is the week that they might start because, like, realistically, what can we say about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Can we say that they're a bad team? Can we say that they're
average,
playing terrible, or can we say that they're just objectively not good? Like, I think they're all very good, very talented players, just playing very, very bad right now. Like the defense, the offense, like all the players are not playing to their potential. Like if you think of just like who is providing plays over expectation, it's nobody right now.
It's
like
your play calling right now.
It's play calling bad. Player execution is bad. Like it's just not a great situation right now. I think things are going to turn around, and if it does, Cade Otton will be a solid piece, red zone option if Brady starts actually throwing touchdowns.
Talking about your team, right? Obviously there's a stat out there, and I'm sure a lot of people have seen. I mean, ESPN's talked about it. Like a lot of people have talked about it, but the Buccaneers are currently 5 for 50 right now in third and six or longer conversion situations. I think that's reflecting
like 10% of their third and longs, which is like a horrible ratio. It's like one of the worst since 2000, I think, was what Warren
It
Sharp
is
said.
the worst. Yeah. The reason why that's alarming, right, is I think third and long situations in general are a reflection on the coaching, are a reflection on the play calling. Because realistically,
on your run game too, if you can't get out of, if you're in a lot of third and long situations, it means you're not running well on early downs also. So, like, I mean, our third and long guy is Chris Godwin, and last year it was Rob Gronkowski, which we're clearly missing him right now. So hopefully Cade Otton can step up a little bit and at least just be a reliable third down target. If nothing else, then
Russell Gage could have played that tertiary role too, but he's been banged up too. I mean,
he's been dealing with a hamstring injury since like the first week of training camp. Like he's in like the Keenan Allen boat right now. I really think he could have been a solid fantasy contributor if he would been healthy because we saw what he did for Atlanta last year. Okay, so quickly, last injury thing that we're talking about, players that are out. Jahan Dotson, J.D. McKissic, both out. Dotson, I'm not sure anybody was starting him, but J.D. McKissic being out is very significant because it means Antonio Gibson is probably going to get the third down, long down and distance, most of the route participation type of role. And I think, to be honest, like we might see a backfield out of Washington that we probably should have been seeing the whole year, which is just Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson.
And it's funny you mentioned Washington, right? I think actually they're one of my favorite upset picks this week going
Vegas
up against the Commanders.
Going
up against the Vikings. Yeah, because I mean, like when we're contextualizing it, I think they're 4-point home underdogs in this game to the Vikings, and got to give the Vikings their props. They're a 6-1 team. However, 5 of those wins have come by 1 score. Washington, if they keep close in this game, which I think they will, I mean, they're a tough team, they're a well-coached team, like at home. Like I think this is the week that the Vikings lose their second game. I genuinely do, and I might actually put a bet on the Washington money line.
Yeah, not a bad bet for sure. Okay, so quickly rattling off the questionables. Cam Akers, personal reason, sounds like he's going to suit up for the Rams this week. They need him because they can't run the
Yeah.
ball. Alan Lazard has a shoulder injury. Think he's going to play, but we don't really know yet. Cordero Patterson coming off of the IR with the knee injury. No indications to say whether or not he's going to play yet. His practice window of 21 days or whatever was opened, and that generally means that they could come back. That's what happened with Gus Edwards last time. A player was activated off IR, but we'll probably have to wait and see. He was quoted as saying he's like 90%. So it wouldn't shock me if he was out one more game and then he's back next week.
If he does play, I would limit your expectations to a certain degree, because I mean, this has still been a relative committee. The Falcons, although they're in that competitive window, they still want to develop their young talent. And I mean, could also Tyler Algier, because he's looked good in the situation, right? Obviously, the efficiency metrics from a down-to-down basis on the running game hasn't been crazy. He's like a 3.8, 3.9 guy, but the contributions of the receiving game is what's been really impressive. Like, this is a legitimate 60 to 65% role participation guy in a backfield that needed some youth. Like Cordero Patterson, as good as he's played, as good as he's looked, like we're still talking about a north of 30 running back that hasn't received a full workload prior to last year. So I really think that, Cordero Patterson's going to handle the 1A. Tyler's just probably going to handle the 1B. And then Huntley's going to be, that second filler in between the tackles, like he's been basically with Algier when he's been out.
Yeah. Okay. So rapid fire quickly. DeAndre Swift, ankle injury. He'll probably suit up, but I'd limit your expectations for him. And I think both him and Jamal Williams are like back end RB2 types, because with Swift's limited workload, he's probably just going to play like a third down, running most of the routes, not getting a ton of carries type of role. Jamal Williams will be the guy that punches them in on the goal line if they get into that situation. Damian Harris has an illness, and it sounds like he's going to miss the game as a result of it. So it's going to be Ramondre Stevenson's season again. Probably a top 10, top 5, maybe even play with Damian Harris out. James Conner, ribs injury, still questionable with that. He logged some limited participations in practice this week, so probably up in the air. For my sake, I play against Benjamin in 2 of my leagues that I'm going to be in. So I am hoping that James Conner does suit up, but who knows? Gus Edwards, hamstring injury. I doubt he's going to play. He hasn't practiced all week, and it's going to be Kenyon Drake's season probably there. He's like a top 25 running back for me with Gus Edwards out. And then Mark Andrews doesn't sound like he's going to play either, and Isaiah Likely's probably a very solid streamer for those of you guys that have Freiermuth and some of the guys that are on bye right now. I think if like on your waiver wire, he's the easy pivot for me.
For sure. And again, like if you have Andrews, and you can pick up Isaiah Likely, and obviously you just have that tight end spot to fill. Obviously, if Andrews plays, you start Andrews. Obviously, if he doesn't play, then you could just go to your bench, plug Isaiah Likely right in. And I mean, if Andrews is out, this is a fringe top 5 level tight end this week.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's get into the questions. Those of you guys that are joining us after the fact, these are where we answer our Patreon questions. If you want access to these live streams, they're available on our Patreon, patreon.com/fantasy stock exchange. But Domain, first one in here. Good afternoon, gentlemen. What's going on? He said, I'm close to starting Antonio Gibson over Swift. What do you think? As of right now, like I said, what I expect out of Swift is a limited player this week. Like, he's probably not going to play his full allotment of snaps, but I did see a quote from Deuce Staley saying that they might want to get him more involved. Like, it's really going to come down to the wire on this decision. Most likely we will probably hear something Sunday morning if Swift is limited in any way, if he's going to be playing, but on a pitch count or whatever. If you hear anything like that, I'm throwing Antonio Gibson into my lineup. But the only way I would play Swift over Gibson is if we hear Swift is a full go, no limitations.
Agree with that.
And if we hear nothing, if like we get radio silence, he's just active, but we don't hear what his situation would be, I tend to lean Swift then.
I'd agree with that. Next comment. What's going on, boys? Full PPR start 2. Eno, Khalil Herbert, Tyler Algier, Rashad White. Okay. If James Conner is out, I mean, Eno Benjamin's going to be the number 1 there. And I would say probably Algier versus Herbert is relatively close, but I would probably lean Algier.
Yeah. Especially if CPAT's out, for sure, I would go Algier.
Yeah. And then, of course, if James Conner's back, I would go with Herbert and Algier.
Yeah, for sure. If James Conner's back, I might still go Eno and Algier, to be honest.
Really, yeah.
Okay. Just coming off a multi-week absence for James Conner, I still expect Eno to probably get like 60% of the work rather than like 75% like he's been getting with Conner out of the lineup. But Herbert, I mean, while he out-carried David Montgomery last week, Montgomery's still like a 65-70% snap share guy, running most of the routes, getting all the 2-minute drill work, all the long down and distance work. And I don't think the Dolphins are going to take it easy on the Bears. Like, I think they're going to be probably playing from behind most of that game. And if Montgomery's the third down guy, then I would imagine, he's going to be on the field more than Herbert is.
I think the Bears are going to keep that game close.
I think
genuinely
they
do.
will also, but just in the event that it gets out of hand, I
It's
think
fair.
Montgomery's role is just way safer than Herbert, so I would go Eno in that situation. Beanie says, "Hey guys, I have Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson, Ramondre, and Higgins all on bye next week. I need to win now. Any trade target recommendations to try and get a W
next week?
Uh,
It's going to be tough because I'm not going to leverage any of those guys just because they're on bye, because you're going to get like an 80 cents on the dollar level package. Because I mean, realistically, the person that would trade
Andrews for Kittle right now, would you do it in his situation?
I wouldn't.
I think I would do it. Given Andrews' injury, given the fact that he needs a win now type of situation, if you can get Kittle only, Kittle would be the only tight end that I would, because you're not going to get Kelsey, and I think it's too much of a downgrade to go to anybody lower than that. So if you can swap Andrews for Kittle straight up, but Kittle's on bye this week too, so like it doesn't even help you.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to do that next week.
So
you'd have to do that next week.
I think you just need to thank your lucky stars if you get a win this week, and hope that you're able to do it. Because I'm not in the business of just selling players just to get wins. If you had to sell, T. Higgins or something, and you can swap him for an equivalent piece, like if you can swap Higgins for a Amon-Ra right now just to minimize a bye week that you have, I'm cool with just going. If you want to go back to the rest of the season rankings video that I did and just look who was in the same tier as Ramondre, who was in the same tier as Higgins, who was in the same tier as Lamar Jackson, and just swap them for those guys. Lamar, go after Hurts, go after, Mahomes, go after whatever. With Ramondre, go after potentially Dameon Pierce, who already played. I guess that wouldn't really help you, but like those type of dudes in that territory, and maybe you can make a move that way. But I probably wouldn't panic sell if I were in your situation.
What's up, boys? Carter, Hines, or Herbert this week? I'm going to go with Khalil Herbert.
I'm going Michael Carter. So
Carter.
A piece of news that actually just broke is that James Robinson was a late addition to the injury report with a knee injury that he's dealing with, and that is the same injury that he was dealing with in Jacksonville by the sounds of it. So I would probably go Carter, and I think Carter's probably a top 24 lock this week if James Robinson's going to be limited or out. I know it's a bad matchup, but like Carter gets receiving work, and he has a monopoly on that goal line if Robinson's not in the lineup.
I brushed by Carter's name. Carter is my running back 20 on this week, so he would actually be my high. So I would agree with that, Michael Carter.
Yeah.
What are we doing with Ramondre in both Dynasty and Redraft? Hanging on or selling? So in Redraft, I think he's a hold, because I mean, realistically,
I think he's a hold in both formats. Dynasty, I think he's a great hold also, because Harris is a great agent after this year.
If you can get first round plus equity, though, I would.
I think you'll get more for him after Harris leaves. To be honest, I wouldn't sell him yet. If you want, I don't mind selling him in the off season, but
that's okay. That's what I mean. Yeah.
I don't think you should sell him now. I think
no. I agree.
We're getting out of him unless you're in a completely competitive or non-competitive window and you can get a big type of offer for him. Like, so what do you need to get off of Ramondre in Dynasty right now?
If I get I would say his value's probably in that 108 to 112 range.
I think he's worth more than that. I think I need a top a 5 to 8 pick. I think I need a mid first.
Basically, is what I'm saying is like what I think like I would value him as. So I'm saying,
I believe Deep Trade Cut has him as like a top 12 to 15 running back right now.
I get that, but I'm saying if his market value is higher than my perceived value of him, then definitely, like if you can get a mid first for him, or I mean, realistically, I think going to a contender, and saying, okay, listen, give me your first and your second, like that could be a plausible type of move. But Ramondre Stevenson, like given the current dynasty landscape right now, is probably valued in that running back 5 to 8 range. But after this rookie class comes in, I mean, that's gonna hit his value to a certain degree. So, yeah, if you can get like a first round and a second rounder from a late, contending type of team, or if you can just say to somebody who is in the mix or is a middling team and say, hey, listen, Ramondre Stevenson can help you. Give me your 2024 first and second to be able to do this. And you have the upside to get that pick in the top 6 range. Like, absolutely. I would more so be looking to leverage Ramondre for 2024 capital.
Yeah, I would. That's definitely the play I would go for. Because, again, we're at a point in time where most of your dynasty leagues, people are aware of the 2023 class. It's been talked about for a number of years. Unless you play in a completely utter casual dynasty league, like there's most likely the people know at least some of the names that are going to be in this class. And there's a good chance they don't know the names quite yet about the 2024 class. So, but as far as his dynasty value, I do think it will peak in about March or April of this year when Damien Harris signs with a new team, is what I think is going to happen. And that would be the selling window that I would take of Ramondre Stevenson.
Agree with that, boys. Been a while. Ben Recovery, miss you. Hey, appreciate having you back here, Goon Boy.
Yeah.
Oh, we clicked that same time. What's up, lads? It might be past Halloween, but looking grim at 3 and 5. Choose 2 wide receivers. Pierce, Raymond, Thornton. Oh gosh. So you don't have any other MNF fillers for Landry if he doesn't play. So I would, gear away from him. I'd probably go with the first two. I'd probably go Pierce and Raymond. I mean, Josh Reynolds, questionable tag, not expected to play. Khalif Raymond the last couple of weeks has actually gotten a relatively decent usage in that Lions offense. And I mean, with Alec Pierce's standpoint, he can, he's been ceding snaps for the most part to Paris Campbell in the last few weeks, but he's still got that big play upside. He's still got that youth factor to him. And I mean, Tyquan Thornton, it's anyone's guess how the fucking Patriots are going to use those receivers on any given week.
Yeah, if we hear that Jarvis is going to play, I think he would be my first choice.
Yeah,
so, like before Sunday, if we hear that Jarvis is going to be a full go on Monday Night Football, I would play him first out of these guys, and then I would probably go with Pierce second. But yeah, I'd go Pierce and Raymond if we have no certainty about what's going to happen with Jarvis Landry on Monday night.
See, I'm saying Water. My other guy's not on bye. Oh, he's talking about next week. Yeah, that's fair.
True.
Palmer or London this week. I'm firing up Josh Palmer with Keenan out. Absolutely.
Yeah, Keenan's out. Mike Williams out.
It's Josh Palmer. As much as I love Drake London,
they're playing each other, correct?
The
Chargers
they actually are. Yeah, they are.
Yeah, the Chargers are allowing like some of the highest points points against on defense. I would probably go Drake London here.
Fair. We can do a little bet on this.
Yeah, we can make a little bet on that. I know Drake London hasn't been very good lately, and Josh Palmer has all this opportunity in front of him. But I actually, to be honest, with all these weapons out for the Chargers, I don't know if it's necessarily a positive that Josh Palmer's alone in that receiving core. I think what's going to happen this week is
scared Eckler's going to get 20 catches.
15 targets.
Yeah, I'm scared. I play against Austin Eckler in my home league, so
yeah.
I am worried. Are Elijah Moore and Jameson Williams usable this year? Elijah Moore, I need to see it before I can say he's usable, to be honest. Like, he's not getting any usage. He ran like fucking 5 routes the last time we saw him. So
send out some more offers for him in my dynasty teams where I'm rebuilding, because I think he's the perfect guy to go acquire. He's not helping your team right now score points, and he's also should be a guy that should accumulate value going forward. But I would
Jameson
say
Williams,
in terms of usable, like, don't drop them if that's what you're asking. But I would say you got to see some real production and usage out of those players. And in JMO's case, you just need to see him actually on the field before you trust them in your lineup, especially with Elijah Moore. Needs to have a week where he's like, if this week he comes out and he's on the field for 90% of the reps just behind Garrett Wilson or something like that, and he gets 7 targets and catches 4 for 50 or something, then I'd be okay trusting him as like a wide receiver 4 going forward. But still not a great situation. Also, potential that we get, not Zach Wilson at quarterback after the game, because it could get ugly for sure. Zach Wilson is the single worst quarterback against pressure in the NFL right now. And the craziest stat I've heard all week, and all year probably, is the Buffalo Bills are first in the NFL right now in like pressure rate, and they are 32nd in blitz rate. So they're getting pressure with 4 at the highest rate in the league.
Bush, for that statement, you probably could have just removed against pressure.
Yeah, literally. Well, I mean, he's actually been a very good quarterback against the clean pocket. Like, when he has a clean pocket, he's been quite good. It's just when he faces pressure, he crumbles.
The problem with him is anytime he has to overthink, he does way too much.
Yeah, and he has the physical ability to be able to make some cool shit happen. He just needs to be able to, like, when he came to the league, he said, I need to figure out what I can and can't get away with. And hopefully the Jets coaching staff is understanding of that, because they still like Wilson. You guys know I was always high on Zach Wilson, but it's getting to a point now where he's costing his team games, and that's not something that they're going to put up with when they're in a winning position. If they were 2-5 right now, they might not care as much about it. We need to see what we have in our young quarterback type of mindset, but they're in a position where they want to win games because they don't want to be losing their jobs either.
Yep. To Josh Allen. Josh Allen's the quarterback one every week.
Josh Allen, there is no quarterback I would ever sit Josh Allen for on any given week. I don't care if he was playing the best defense of all time and Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts was playing the easiest defense of all time.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Hypothetical. Let's just say the Bills are going up against, I mean, it's not going to happen this year, but let's say the Bills were going up against the Cowboys and Lamar was going up against the Lions. Like, would that be like the closest scenario?
That's the closest scenario, but I'm still playing Josh Allen.
I agree. No, I agree. Need to Boyd, starting Higgins already. Dubs, Gibson, Duvernay, Drake. So I'm still starting Boyd. I mean, he's the clear best option out of these guys. And I'd probably go with
Gibson's the clear best option out of these guys.
Really? I would go Gibson and Boyd. I think those are the clear 2 best options.
Yeah, I don't mind Dobbs this week with the Lions, state of the team that they have, but I think Gibson's the guy I would rate the highest here, and I actually do think it would be a legit conversation between Boyd and Kenyon Drake, given that Gus Edwards I'm expecting to not be in the lineup. Jay Full actually said his other option would be to sell JT. If that's an option for you and you need wins, I'm cool selling Jonathan Taylor and seeing what you can get for him.
Went 4 in 12-man dynasty, had some bad luck on receivers, have 3 late 2023 ones. Yeah, I'm fine with giving that up for Adams.
I pretty much made this trade in our Tone Setters Dynasty League, more or less. I think this is exactly what I gave up for Devontae Adams, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty close. We're crazy here now. Yeah, dude, literally. By the way, I talked about it on the waiver show, but I mean, Terrace Marshall did see 9 targets this past week.
Somebody offered me a trade in Dynasty. Cali Dog sent me a trade for Terrace Marshall earlier today.
What did he offer?
So it wasn't just for Terrace Marshall. I didn't accept the trade because he offered me, I don't know, maybe you would accept this trade, but I love Jahan Dotson. So he offered me Rashad Bateman and like Jonnu Smith or something for Terrace Marshall and Jahan Dotson. And I was like, it's not a bad offer. I'm, in a tank position.
I'm worried about Bateman.
More.
I'm worried about
Bateman.
Yeah,
I'm a little worried about him as well, which is why I would rather hold Dotson in that position. If he offered me like Rashad Bateman in a third for Terrace Marshall and Jahan Dotson, then it might be a little bit closer, I think. But he didn't actually have his 3rd round pick, so I couldn't really make that move happen. Who's the guy to own in the Ravens backfield after their week 10 bye? I'd say after their week 10 bye, it's Gus Edwards.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, for this week, it's definitely Kenyon Drake. But after their bye, I think Gus Edwards should be back.
Payne Domain, what did you get for him? Just let us know. It's Terrace time. Oh God, I never thought I'd ever hear that. 5 and 3. My running backs are so thin. Carter and Drake with Hall, JK, Gus on IR. I'm so reluctant to trade my 2 mid 2023 first. Do not do it. Don't do it. If you're 5 and 3 and you're like unsure exactly like where your standing is, just hold those first. And I mean, realistically, if you're 5 and 3 right now and say those 2 mid 2023 first land you, Gibbs and Tucker, let's just say hypothetically, then you're in a position where you add Gibbs and Tucker to a team that was already 5 and 3 the year before with the injuries you have. You could be looking at a 6 and 2, 7 and 1, top 2 level seed next year. So stay patient. I know, it's glamorous when you're at this point of the season. You think, fuck, like if I get these guys, maybe I can win the championship. Maybe I can win the money. Sometimes your best bet is just to stay patient and realize that, hey, instead of trading, this mid 2023 first for Joe Mixon, for Dalvin Cook, for fucking, Derrick Henry, right? You're gonna inherently be getting a more valuable asset at that pick and still being able to contend the year after. So stay patient.
The only one that I might explore is if you can move Hall for an equivalent young running back, where maybe a rebuilding team has DeAndre Swift on their team, and they're like, "Hey, I'll give you DeAndre Swift 1-for-1 for Breece Hall because he's younger, and Swift can help you more this year, and you're still not sacrificing a ton in the way of like long-term projectable value." If you could get a move like that done, I wouldn't mind it, but for the most part, I think you're better off, like Danny said, just staying the core unless you can sell guys for easy production and it's not expensive. Like if you could sell J.K. Dobbins for like Cordero Patterson in a second or something like that, I wouldn't hate a move like that either.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair, Jared. Rank these rookie receivers in Dynasty with tiers: Burks, Pickens, Wandale, Jameson Williams. I'm still ranking Treylon Burks as my 1 here. Jameson Williams going to be
JMO would be in the same tier as him though.
Easy. Then I would have it as Pickens, and then I'd have it as Wandale.
Yeah, I would say Burks, JMO in 1 tier, Pickens slightly behind them in his own tier, and then Wandale and behind Pickens in his own tier. It's probably how I have it. Maybe you could argue that Wandale and Pickens belong in the same tier. I know you guys, maybe you're huge Pickens guys, and you think that Pickens belongs in Burks and JMO's tier. I'm not quite there with Pickens yet.
Yeah, I still like Pickens. Like he could still be, a wide receiver 2 in high-end projection. I just don't see that wide receiver 1 type of ceiling that some people do. My heart will hurt if Zach Wilson doesn't pan out. Yeah, same with ours. For Ramon, yeah, dude, you said sold low. That is absolutely not selling low because I
don't think that's a low sell. But like I said, man, like I do think there's some league formats where you can get potentially early 2023 capital or early 2024 capital for Ramondre Stevenson straight up 1-for-1 in a deal.
That's fair. Still happy with it, but he's a beast. Is there?
Yeah, he's a beast, man. He's a good player.
Allen, what a bust this year. Yeah, it's an injury bust, so I understand it a little bit more. But Like this is literally
This is now a couple years in a row though where we're seeing these aging wide receivers going early in drafts that are they're suffering injuries and it's just derailing their season completely. Michael Thomas, another good example of it. Like
maybe the unexplained value that we see on older receivers is because that we can't actually we can't actually trust them to last the whole season.
Yeah, and
we say this every year, right?
And maybe it's a lazy take and it's just like a results over process type of take where we're like, hey, if Keenan Allen had stayed healthy, then this Chargers offense probably looks a lot different. He probably has, 10 plus targets per game or something like that. But the issue is like most of the time you're probably just better off betting on a Jalen Waddle archetype than you are a Keenan Allen archetype in that area of the draft.
Agreed. When does Michigan play, by the way? It doesn't.
Yeah, we play at 7 against Kansas State. I thought we were playing at 12 for some reason.
Ooh, another good game tonight is Alabama LSU.
Yeah, is LSU. So I saw Mel Kiper put out his rankings for the draft, and he still has Kayshawn pretty high in his rankings. Like, are people just don't care that Boutte is like not productive at all, or what?
He's gonna be a first round pick. Like he's still gonna.
You think Boutte's still gonna be a first round pick if he has no?
Dude, I've been doing like mock drafts and stuff, and like the receiver class is very very top heavy. But then like you get into names like Rashee Rice and fucking Cedric Tillman and fucking guys like that, and Dontavian Wicks, and at that point it's like those are probably going to be the day 2 guys, and I would still.
You think Dontavian Wicks and those guys are going to be day 2 receivers? I don't think so.
Dude, look at the receiver landscape after like the top 5 or 6 guys. It's shallow.
It's not great. I'll give you that, but like I just think the NFL is going to adjust and not overdraft a bunch of receivers. But I mean, we're seeing it every year that some receivers that didn't belong to go in the 2nd and 3rd rounds, in this class, they went that high.
Velus
right?
Jones.
Yeah, Velus Jones and
even fucking Tyquan Thornton.
Yeah, Tyquan Thornton. Even to be honest, like John Mechie probably didn't belong to go as high as he went.
I mean, like as high as he went, but he was definitely still a day 2 player.
Could have been a 3rd round pick, personally.
Probably, yeah.
I thought. And like we also before the draft, it didn't end up materializing, but we thought Calvin Austin would have been a day 2 pick as well. Some of the other guys, like it's possible that Boutte is still a day 2 pick for sure. I
think he's a day 1. Like
I think what we're talking about with this dude is a guy that just never ever progressed as a player, which is something that is just a massive, massive red flag for me. That he had a good freshman season, and it wasn't even a full season. It was like a couple games when Terrace Marshall left the lineup. And
if you're a team like Baltimore, you're still taking him late 1.
And maybe it was the injury, but I don't trust him.
If you're a team like Baltimore, you're still taking him late 1.
I can't get on board with that. I think because if you're taking him late 1, that means you're taking him over probably better prospects, like guys that like are productive guys like Josh Downs.
But if you I think Downs is going to go ahead of him. But
I don't think so, man, because he's got size concerns. I think the NFL will like Boutte's size better.
Knox or Henry Hop has looked very good.
DeAndre Hopkins definitely has been an exception to that rule.
Give me Hunter Henry pretty easily there, Jer.
I'll take Hunter Henry there as well.
Where do you see Gibbs slot in for the running back landscape? As soon as he's drafted, he's going to be a top
8 running back at the very least. For
sure. Top 5, yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, because I think he'll probably be the 2nd running back off the board in the actual NFL draft. If I had to guess, maybe Tucker or Zach Evans or something gives him a run for his money, but Gibbs should be the 2nd running back off the board in the actual draft. Maybe a late first, early second.
He might sneak into the first.
Yeah, I think late first, early second. If Clyde Edwards-Helaire went late first, I think Jahmyr Gibbs can absolutely go late first.
If you're Philadelphia and you know how good your roster is, and you know, okay, Miles Sanders is going to be a free agent, Kenny Gainwell and Boston Scott.
Is Miles Sanders gone after this year, though, isn't he?
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's going to be a free agent this year.
He'll have already been off the team by the time the draft.
If you're Philadelphia and you know you can get a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs who can affect the passing game, I mean, they've been in on Alvin Kamara, and oddly enough, you know who Alvin Kamara's pro comp for is Jahmyr Gibbs. Like Jahmyr Gibbs has been comp to Alvin Kamara basically everywhere you see. So if they're
I think the more apt comparison is Swift than Gibbs. Than Kamara. I just think Kamara is built way better than how Gibbs is built.
Build wise, yes.
Like contact balance and stuff. And I think Gibbs is more so in the Swift vein of like being more an elusive back than a power back. Because I still think people underrate how powerful Alvin Kamara is.
Yeah, he could fucking run someone over if he wants to. He's like a 215-pound.
We didn't actually answer Jared's question.
Oh, did we? Who are the top 2020 top wide receiver class 23 compared to 2022?
The 2022 top end talent was better. I at least from what I've seen so far. I haven't watched these guys in depth and scouted them and all that stuff. I think Drake London would have been, if he had been in this class with his exact profile, he would be the clear-cut wide receiver 1 yet again. And I also think Burks and Garrett Wilson would also have been the clear-cut wide receiver 1 in this class too.
I think Quentin Johnson would be well within that mix too. Like,
so you're really high on Johnson.
From what I've
for
seen,
me,
again,
Addison and Johnston are probably going to rate out similarly to the way that Rashad Bateman, Jamison Williams, Elijah Moore, Devontae Smith would have had a higher grade than that. Like those guys in the last 2 classes were like late first grades for me. And I think that's probably how Addison and Quentin Johnston are going to, and probably JSN once he gets back on the field, they're going to rate out.
My God, dude. I'm just thinking of a scenario because I think at least one of those receivers are going to be in the top 10 this year. If you're a team like Chicago, if you're a team like Jacksonville, like I get Jacksonville, you just traded for Calvin Ridley, but
they're going to get draft capital. I just mean as players based on their film where my grade is going to be. But that input really helps, obviously, if they get drafted in the top 15, that really helps their profile. I just think when I watch the film, I'm not going to see as good of a prospect, as clean of a prospect as I saw with Garrett Wilson or with Treylon Burks or with Drake London or with Devontae Smith or with Jamar Chase in recent years.
I know I might be overreacting a little bit, but I'm just thinking, like, if you're Jacksonville, right? I get it. You got a pure separating receiver, one of the best receivers when he's on the field with Calvin Ridley. I get that. Like, that's a great pickup for the situation that they're in. However, when Trevor Lawrence was at his best, he had an X receiver that was big, that can win down the field and come up with a contested play when he needs to. He had 2 of them. Yeah. Justin Ross and T. Higgins. Quentin Johnson would be like that type of player.
He's the Justin Ross mold for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. He's
a better athlete than Justin Ross too.
He's like a legitimate 4.3, 4.4 guy. Like at that size, 6'4", 215 pounds.
I think what Quentin Johnston will end up being for me is like what everybody thought George Pickens, and not that George Pickens is a bad player because he's clearly played well, but like the viewpoint that everybody had on George Pickens coming into last year's class is probably how I'm going to view Quentin Johnston.
Agreed. Devontae Smith. I disagree.
I think he's higher than that. I think he's higher than 25.
Yeah, he's top 20 for me. JT and DJ Moore for Diggs and Lockett. I think that's possible. I'm okay selling JT as my running backs or Saquon. So in Dynasty, I think you're just getting 2 volatile assets for 2 safer assets, which I'm not a fan of. I know DJ Moore for the most part of this year has been, underwhelming, but trading him off for a 29-year-old Tyler Lockett, like you're just going to lose instant value as soon as you make that deal. So I would personally hold here.
Agreed. I just want to play a little game real quick because I'm looking at my Dynasty rankings, and we will let's try. Maybe me and Daniel try and get this out for Monday. Those of you guys, obviously, all of you that are in here have access to our Dynasty rankings manifesto. I'd like to do a November update. Let me tell you now, who would you rather have at wide receiver, Devontae Smith or Deontay Johnson?
Devontae Smith, easily.
Okay. Who would you rather have? I'm going to leave the veterans out of it. No Kupp, no Adams, because it's just too hard to decide. Who would you rather have, Elijah Moore or Devontae Smith?
Devontae Smith.
Who would you rather have, Treylon Burks or Devontae Smith?
Devontae Smith.
Jerry Jeudy or Devontae Smith?
Devontae.
Chris Godwin or he's a little bit older. Marquise Brown or Devontae Smith?
Marquise.
DJ Moore or Devontae Smith?
DJ.
You'd rather have DJ Moore than Devontae Smith? I wouldn't. I'd rather have Devontae Smith.
I think he's going to get the quarterback upgrade this offseason.
So basically, where I just the range of the part that I had Deontay Johnson at 14 in my last ranking.
He's going way down.
He's going to move down for sure. And Smith needs to move up because I have them too low. But
I know. I'll look at my rankings for sure, and I'll know like exactly where he's going to be once I actually like make that full update. But I have a hard time seeing Deontay Johnson being in my top 24.
I think he'll be at the back end of that area for me. I think he'll be like, towards the Terry McLaurin,
I would easily take Terry over him right now.
I wouldn't. I would rather have Deontay Johnson.
I don't know. I'm
scared. The other thing too is slotting the rookies within this area, because how high does Chris Olave go? Right? Any of the names that Chris Olave over every name that I just mentioned?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you taking Chris Olave over? Again, I'll leave the veterans out of it, but are you taking Chris Olave over Garrett Wilson and Drake London?
That would be the cutoff. I would take those 2.
I would still take Drake London over Chris Olave.
And Garrett Wilson. I would take
I also would still take Garrett Wilson over Chris Olave. But I think both of those guys, the last time I did this update, Drake London ended up being my wide receiver 8 and Garrett Wilson was my wide receiver 11. And I really need to move Chris Olave up because he's like at my wide receiver 20 right now. And he should be, top 12, top 15 at least.
Easily. Yeah. Like he looks like a fucking
it's really, it comes down to like, do you prefer Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill over Chris Olave? And that's a complete discussion of where your team is at.
Yep. We already went through that. I think Swift is an injury bust. No one talks about enough. I mean, everybody talks about it. Everybody talks about it like he can't stay on the field. But when I have a player that can legitimately score me over 20 PPR points per game, and he's currently being valued as an asset that doesn't crack 18, like I am interested. And I get it. The concerns are there. But in Dynasty, especially at running back, if you're not playing for ceiling at running back, there's no need to buy a running back. Like if you're playing for fucking floor,
nothing diagnosable and chronic that we need to worry about, which there really isn't with Swift. Like you can flip a coin or spin a wheel and just be like, okay, these 4 running backs are going to stay healthy this season, and the rest of them are going to deal with injuries. Like that's just how it works at the running back position. A couple years ago, people said Joe Mixon was injury prone. A couple of years ago, people said Leonard Fournette was injury prone. Saquon Barkley was injury prone. Christian McCaffrey was injury prone. We just really don't know unless there's a chronic thing like the situation with J.K. Dobbins and Cam Akers, and what we're going to have with Breece Hall and Devontae Williams. Like there's nothing that you can really say about Swift that makes him an injury prone bust. It's just that he's dealt with injuries and they've been unfortunate. And we really like, it's possible that that's why he never got a huge workload at Georgia, is because they didn't want to give him like a full workhorse role, but he doesn't need a full workhorse role. If he's on the field 65% of the snaps for the Detroit Lions for a 17-game season, no doubt in my mind, he's gonna be a top 5 running back.
It's so funny when it comes to like injuries at the running back position. Because could you remember the biggest debate in 2022 going into drafts? It was, who's the 101? Who is the 101? Jonathan Taylor's the 101. He's a young running back. CMC's injury prone, yada, yada, yada. If I were to tell you going into the year that one of Jonathan Taylor and Christian McCaffrey would be looking like the best running back, best asset overall in fantasy, and the other one would have missed, 3-4 games in a row dealing with low ankle injuries.
The Vegas money would have been all on Jonathan Taylor being that guy, all of it. Like it would have been
all of it being on the number.
It would have been like minus 850 that Jonathan Taylor was the one that worked out. If that's like we had a crystal ball and we knew that that's how the 2 things were going to play out, we just didn't know which one was dealing with the other. All of the people would have bet on Jonathan Taylor.
And now we're looking at it, and I mean, not only is Christian McCaffrey, in my opinion, the number 1 player in fantasy football rest of the season, I don't think it's particularly close. Like, and I get it. People might say, okay, I get it. He had 41 PPR points. He looked good again with the Niners in his first like fully healthy game or fully sustained game there. But like, what do you mean he's like that? Like, no. The reason why we should be ecstatic if you got Christian McCaffrey in your drafts, and again, this might be a fucking easy
third
thing
round
to say.
Of a dynasty startup feels pretty good. Dude, in our Tone Setters draft, I took Saquon and Christian McCaffrey in back-to-back rounds. I got Christian McCaffrey in the 3rd and Saquon in the 4th.
After getting Hurts and Chase, right? Yeah, that's nuts.
That's a hell of a start to a draft.
But talking about McCaffrey, the biggest worry, the biggest piece of skepticism, the one that I basically battled all fucking week and a half prior to that game that he had with the Niners. Oh, well, Shanahan isn't going to use him like he was used in Carolina. Like this guy was averaging like 25 opportunities per game, and Shanahan.
To be fair, it actually didn't matter even if that came true, because we've got a new piece of the puzzle that was never there for Christian McCaffrey, which is scoring opportunity and offensive efficiency.
But now you get the scoring advantage, you get the situation, you get the scheme, but you're also still getting a player that got 9 fucking targets in his first full game as a 49er. If you're getting that workload, that receiving work, that ability to score touchdowns, and this offense is going to put up, 25 points per game from here on out, and you're still getting the elite talent added to that, like this guy might be a 30+ PPR point per game scorer down the stretch. And I'm not even saying that hyperbolic. Like if you have Christian McCaffrey, you would need an atrocious team around him to not at least make a top 3 seed in your league. I'm fully wholeheartedly believe in that.
Yeah, agreed. By the way, for those of you guys, a little peek behind the curtain, we in our underdog incubator thing that we're doing with all the 9 guys and Ron Stewart and all the dudes there, we're in a 10-man league, and the winner gets $1,000 to give away their community. My team is disgusting, guys. My team is absolutely disgusting. I'm in 2nd place. It's just me and Ron at the top right now. I have Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, and Kenneth Walker on my team with Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown stack, George Kittle, my tight end. My team is absolutely loaded, and I want to take that thing down to give you guys the money for sure, because I think it would be really awesome. But Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, and Kenneth Walker is pretty much all I need to say about my team.
I picked the wrong year to stack around the Rams and the Buccaneers.
Like the Rams and the Bucks.
If my current team was only in the 2021 season, I would win the league by like 300 points.
Yeah, no, it's looking rough for sure for Danny's team.
Gross.
Been drinking the Johnston Kool-Aid. Yeah, a lot of people have been. I saw Kuiper really was impressed with him too when he broke down his rankings.
I would feel comfortable putting Meyer, like maybe you want to argue him over like obviously Butte, but like maybe like JSN, like sure. But
I think I would put Mayer right behind Addison and Johnston for me. I would rather take Mayer than JSN. Just given what I know about JSN right now, if he gets back on the field rest of the season and he performs like the way he did his sophomore year, I still think we're talking about a guy that gets drafted at the end of day one of the NFL draft and probably is just fine. But Mayer is going to get top 20 to 25 draft capital at the tight end position, and his profile from a production standpoint is as bulletproof as it gets. Like it's freshman production, sophomore production, and he's progressed every year. He's gotten better every year. He's leading the NCAA in tight end targets right now. Like he's been a monster. I'm trying to think of a prospect he compares to because he's Hawkinson. Not the Kyle Pitt. Yeah, he's like Hawkinson. TJ Hawkinson never had remotely the production profile that Mayer has right now. Like I'm trying to think of the last
I think Mayer's more athletic than him too.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Like he's got pretty much everything that you'd want, except he doesn't have like the Kyle Pitts factor. Like he's not going to be a freakish athlete, but he's good enough as an athlete that he's going to be like, Pat Fryer.
Mark Andrews.
Yeah, Mark Andrews is probably the comparison. Yeah, I would say Mark Andrews is probably the guy that you'd want to compare him
to. Okay, I got a scenario because obviously, I mean, Fields didn't play with JSN then, did he? Because he would have graduated before JSN got any. Okay, because I was gonna say, I'm like, what if like Chicago picked JSN, but then I mean, if they didn't play together, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I think regardless, even if Smith and Jigba like was shut down for the rest of the year, he'd probably still be a top 20 pick, just given the wide receiver landscape of the NFL and how high teams are going to pick them. They'll go off his sophomore tape and be no problem taking him in the top 20.
You agreed. Tail of the tape going to be fire, yes sir.
Oh, dude, I'm so excited for tail of the tape.
It's going to be fun. Check this trade offer in my dyno. I have 4 firsts and 3 seconds. My running backs are Carter and Pollard. Got an offer of Godwin, 2 late first and early second. No. 2 late firsts. That's actually not a bad offer.
Okay, so it's for all of his picks?
I would do that, I think.
So what's the trade? Is it for all of his picks here? Oh, for the projected.
He's getting Godwin, 2 firsts and a second for Bijan. I like process alone. I think I got to take that.
That's a lot of assets that you're getting there.
That's what I'm saying. Like as good as Bijan is, it follows the same principle that we said all offseason. If you can get that type of package for any running back in Dynasty, and I mean realistically, yes, like Bijan.
If I were you, I would counter and go like 1 late first and try and get a 2024 first out of it also. Yeah, if you backload some of those picks that you're getting into the 2024 class and potentially nab a top 5 pick in that class, then I think it's absolutely worth it. Because if you're talking, late 2023 first, you should be able to get random 2024 first instead if they have 2024 first.
I thought that was 1 first when I first read it. And 1 first I wouldn't do, but if you're getting 2 1s, a top 20-ish level Dynasty receiver and an early second, like I'm sorry, Bijan, but I want access to you.
You're gonna have to I'm in a position where I'm gonna have Bijan at least in 2 leagues, and just given my team and how it looks, and maybe potentially in more leagues.
You get offered this
for my cold dead hands, man. Like you got to give me. You got to back up the Brinks truck for that dude because I ain't giving him up easily. He's gonna be a top 5 startup pick the second he's in the NFL.
You get this offer for Bijan on draft day. Are you taking it?
I wouldn't take it personally. I wouldn't.
Really?
I would be more inclined to take it if you give me 2 random 2024 first rather than 2 late 2024 first.
That's a good counter if you could try for that.
Yeah, if he has 2024 first, maybe multiple or just his own, and you can swap out Godwin, maybe. And if you could swap out Godwin for a young receiver, also, I would probably prefer that. If you could get Elijah Moore instead of Godwin, or like somebody like,
or maybe see because it's an early 2023 second. I'm assuming. If he's wanting to contend, I mean, he's trading for Bijan. Obviously, he wants to have a contending window. Just say to him, okay, listen, you want Bijan? Change that early second to a 2024 late projected first, and maybe I'll throw you back a late second this year. That way, you get more equity, get more pick equity. You're building that team, and realistically, like as much as I love Bijan, he's going to be probably a 20 plus PPR point per game scorer. Like his ceiling obviously would be in that Barkley echelon, but I mean. We're talking about a running back asset. We're not focusing on the downside risk here. Like the downside risk is If he has a Breece Hall level expectation, say he comes in, looks like Breece Hall was looking, there's so much volatility that can happen. You know what's not going to be a volatile asset? All that liquidity that you're getting in this deal. So I would see if you can push for more. But
if I had a really big war chest of pieces and I was looking to add studs, I'd be comfortable giving this up for Bijan. You know how like sometimes we have dynasty decisions teams and they have like all these picks. We're like, just go out and trade for Josh Allen kind of teams. Like, I think I'd be comfortable giving this up if I was in that position.
The only problem I have is, I mean, this package might be enough to get you fucking Jamar Chase. Like, I would
but I would rather have Bijan than Jamar Chase.
No way.
I wouldn't. I would rather have Bijan. I think the value that Bijan is going to have on the open market will be higher than Jamar Chase.
No shot. He's a running back. Jonathan Taylor.
Running backs have, but like high end running backs like Bijan have higher value than Jamar Chase on the market.
I disagree with that completely.
I don't know, man. I think we're talking about a guy that is legitimately going to go close to the 101 in Superflex leagues included.
Oh, no shot.
I think Bijan, the second he's in the NFL, will be the consensus 104, and some people will take him 102, 103.
You got the 3 quarterbacks. You're taking Jalen Hurts over him. I don't care. Like, if you're in a startup right now, you're not taking Bijan Robinson over Jalen Hurts.
I'm not saying what I would do. I'm saying what the consensus will do.
Okay, so if the consensus values him as that, then fucking I'm taking the package 10 times out of 10.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think he's that valuable.
I don't think so. He's a run. Like, Jonathan Taylor had a 2,000 yard from scrimmage, over 20 touchdown season last year, and he peaked at the 110. And we were both saying, okay, listen, like, as good as he is as a running back, he is still a running back. I'm sticking to my process here.
I think first of all, Taylor was a second-year running back, not a rookie.
Fair.
And
he's still a 22-year-old running back.
With Bijan, you're getting a receiving upside in the NFL that is higher than what Jonathan Taylor could give you.
For sure. So basically what Breece Hall was showing before he got hurt.
I think the comparison is Saquon. Like what Saquon did his rookie year. That is the comparison for what Bijan's value is going to ascend to.
I think we're in the days where no running back is worth fucking.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm just saying what the market's going to do, not necessarily what you or I would do. Is Quentin Johnson going to end up like Chase Claypool though?
No.
I think
no shot.
I hope not, but like that is a risk with him if he doesn't develop a full route tree. Like that's going to come. I haven't watched.
He has a full route tree. He can separate all 3 levels.
I haven't watched a ton of TCU games. I haven't watched his film. I don't know what his like route tree necessarily is, but what I know is that his analytics profile is pretty solid, and he's playing very well this year and having like a breakout junior, potentially Blitnikoff caliber season.
Yep. That was a redraft question. No, I got you, Jonathan. Debo or Devontae Smith?
In Dynasty? Or this week?
Dynasty, I'm assuming.
This is Dynasty. I'm taking Deebo Samuel.
27-year-old receiver.
It depends what your team is, too. If your team's contender, then...
If you're contending, yes.
Yeah, if your team's a rebuild. They don't seem like they're that far apart in age, but they kind of are. Like, they're like 3 or 4 years apart.
Who are you taking before who in a startup where you don't know where your team's at yet?
Well, I would, though, because they would be like the 4th or 5th round.
Yeah.
So if I have let's say I have a neutral shell, like
2 quarterbacks and a receiver. You have two quarterbacks and a receiver at the top of your draft.
So I have Hurts, Trevor Lawrence, and Jalen Waddle or something.
Yeah. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I would. If I had a build like that, I would probably go Smith.
Yeah, I agree.
Flexible.
But the way we build, that's more likely.
But if I drafted a running back at any point during those first 4 rounds or something, then I would probably take Deebo.
Yep. No, I would agree with that. Thanks, fellas. Anytime they're trying to appreciate having you in here. What's your take on Pacheco going forward? I think he's going to be the lead back of this committee. You know, maybe some post-rookie bye week bump that we could see potentially.
I think before people freak out, like the lead back in this committee, I don't think will peak at higher than 50% of the snaps on a given. Like
they're going to be like a 40% guy. Yeah.
That needs to probably score a touchdown and be efficient on the ground to be valuable for fantasy. But I do think he could be like a high-end RB3 rest of season if they give him that kind of workload, and maybe more if they're willing to give him some receiving work as well. But it seems like they have this like plan in mind where CH is going to be like the do it all, like kind of contribute in receiving game and in rushing game. Jerick McKinnon's the locked and loaded 2-minute drill, like long down and distance type of dude. And Pacheco maybe leads the team in early down work. So it's not going to be, Pacheco's the lead back for Kansas City. I just don't think we're getting like a Kareem Hunt situation. Like if people are hoping for that, it's just, I doubt it's going to happen, but I do think he could be more valuable, at least now in a couple weeks than he is now in terms of people who have Pacheco on their team, or if he's still on your wire, definitely go pick him up. Yep. What's a consolation playoff bracket in Sleeper, and can you get rid of it? Honestly, I have no idea how to get rid of it. Never tried.
So if you're in a sleeper league, you can set your consolation bracket. So either the toilet bowl or like a consolation playoff. It give you the option. So it's going to be played out regardless. But just keep that in mind. Like if you would rather see a toilet bowl, you can actually set that in your settings if you're
And the
commissioner.
toilet bowl values the people who lose the matchup, right?
Yeah. Whoever
Yeah.
loses is on. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Bro
either
or
way,
Gino.
even if you don't like want to do it that way, you can always just like manually set the draft order after
Yeah.
the thing.
Yeah, sort by max point score. It's very easy.
Yeah.
Give me Joe Burrow. I have at 6. Tua I have at 8 this week. So I would go with Joe Burrow. In terms of Kirk versus Conner, it's pretty easily Kirk for me, especially in that matchup against the Raiders, who have been
And
a little
Connor's
sieve on
off
defense.
an injury too, so I'm not going to mess with him yet.
Yeah. So if you're fine, would you trade 2 mid 2023 first for CMC? Looking to repeat, but this seems like too much.
I feel like almost any time you're going to make a move like this, it's always going to stab you in the back.
Agreed.
Like, and it might not, obviously. If Christian McCaffrey stays healthy the rest of the year and he's on the field, like, you're going to get high end RB1 production.
Well,
I'm always hesitant to give up some liquidity like this when I can just easily play with house money this year, reload in 2023 with all the, I think he said he had 4 picks or something like that. Like, you can just load your running back core up after this year. Plus, you're going to get Brees back coming off of injury. I'd probably just hold. I think this is kind of like a tilt move if you do that.
I'm in almost this near exact spot in our FSC Dino League where I have my team basically fully built, and fucking like it's been through the injury wire this year. Like Brees Hall, fucking Michael Gallup's missed time. Jamar Chase is now out. Rashad Bateman's now out. Like Elijah Mitchell's on IR. Traylon Burks is out. Like
and you have Akers too, don't you?
Yeah, Akers. Yeah, like my whole team is basically through the injury mend. And I'm currently 4-4 in this league. I'm probably going to lose to you this week given my injuries. And my pick's probably going to be in the middle end. However, I have 3 2023 first round picks. My team is going to be healthy by the time I'm ready to compete next year. Instead of trading some of those picks to try and, put up my winning window, again, 4-4 versus 5-3 is pretty much a similar deal. I would rather just wait, attack a couple of the running backs in the class and build this thing up into an absolute juggernaut by next year. That's how I would attack it, and I'm actually currently attacking it.
Yeah, agreed. Dynasty trade, sell Tony and grab McBride in a mid-2024 second tight end premium league. That's a pretty solid return for Tony. I think I would probably do that.
Agreed. I have all
that
those
could
picks.
Definitely stab you in the back if Tony puts his head on straight and works out with his Chiefs team. But I think you're not going to be too mad at that trade, even if Tony does work out.
Wanya, if you're giving up that package, I personally I wouldn't want to give up all that package. Personally.
Oh, I see. So he'd be the one trading for Bijan.
Yep.
Yeah, if you're projected the 102, I would rather move up from the 102 to get Bijan if you want him that bad.
Yeah, and I mean realistically, it shouldn't be too much, especially if that guy is picking 101.
I'd venture a guess to say most casual fantasy players would just give you, and just think about it in terms of startup value, where Stroud and Bryce Young are going to go in startup value.
Wait a second.
Flex league, you could probably, I would be comfortable giving up a late first, to be honest. I personally would. If you have the 111 and you have the 102 and the 101 says, I want your 111 and your 102 to move down to get Bijan, I'd be fine doing it because Bijan's a once in a generation type of asset.
Because maybe you're talking about Josh Downs and fucking Stroud or
and you're talking about probably like relative startup value. It's like moving from like the third probably to like the late first.
No, CJ Stroud and Bryce Young are going to be second round startup picks.
You think they're going to be second rounders?
Absolutely.
If they get top 5
capital,
the better of the two, because it'll be the 102 also.
Again, I'm not going to say this is how I value it, but the market's probably going to value Young and Stroud ahead of like Dak.
If Bryce Young goes like first overall to Detroit Lions and he has the weapons cast that he has in Detroit, he's probably going to be a top. He'll probably be in the Trey
top
Lance
15.
To be honest,
he'll be a top 15
Trey
pick.
Lance was going last year.
Agreed. I'm going to rebuild. I've been tanking this year, but I accidentally won last week and I have 2 wins. That's why.
That's
why you should be. That's where you should be sorting by potential points.
Yeah.
Nice. It can be so frustrating. You draft well, build a great team, then injuries happens, and people pick up like Foreman, Mostert. Yeah, it's shit happens, man. Honestly,
that's why we like to build our dynasty teams so to the point that there's not a reasonable doubt that we're contenders.
Yeah,
because when you build a fragile dynasty team, or you have a team where like a couple injuries can really derail you. Like, you've seen my tone setters team, right? Like how good my tone setters team is.
Yeah.
I have Jamar Chase and Marquise Brown on the mend right now, but I still have like Devontae Adams, Cortland Sutton, and Brandon Ayuk as my wide receivers with CMC, Saquon Barkley, Ramondre Stevenson, Jamal Williams as my run. Like I'm still fine, even though I'm dealing with Chase, Marquise Brown, being out, who were probably my two of my three best receivers, including Adams. So it definitely sucks when you lose some players to injury, but that's why I don't like to compete in Dynasty until I have a very, very deep roster where my biggest problem on a weekly basis is figuring who to start rather than if I'm going to win or not.
If you want to hear a weird fucking build this week in our Dynasty League, in our Tone Setters League, so I currently have to fucking start Jermichael Hasty in the flex because of bye weeks and injury. Because I had JD McKissick there.
Players than that in our Tone Setters League right now. I'm starting I have Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, Cortland Sutton, Brandon Ayuk, and like somebody else I think too on bye this week. So I have to start Will Dissly and like somebody I can't even remember who the other person that I'm starting in my flex is. Thankfully, Goddard and Hurts did the Lords for me on Thursday.
I currently don't have a backup tight end, so I'm gonna have to eat the bye week with Kittle.
Yikes.
No, I really like where I'm at in this league because I mean I have so many fucking picks. Like it's so much fun. Honestly, I'm
hoping I can take the championship down this year, and potentially I still should be able to compete just fine next year too.
I didn't even realize this. I'm up to 5 1s and 3 2s this year.
Is this the Tone Setters League you're referring to?
Yeah. Because I forgot I traded Gabe Davis and Taysom Hill for a 2023 first from Doc.
Yeah,
Doc.
God.
Where is he currently? So he's 5 and 3, so he's like middle of the pack.
Dude,
his team's good.
How did you get all these ones?
Dude, I traded. Dude, the fucking my team, like it's crazy right now. Fucking, I have like no actual like players though. To be fair, I have Lamar Fields and like Elijah Moore, George Kittle, Gallup, Ridley. Like I just went.
Ridley's
value.
like the staple of all my rebuilding dynasty teams. I have him on every single rebuilding team.
Yeah, facts. But nothing compares to my league in the fucking Mickey Mouse League where I have legitimately like 21s across the next 2 years.
Yeah, that's insane. That is, I love my Bitcoin team is just absolutely unbelievable too. Like with the high end assets that I have on that team, plus the 4 1s that I have this year and the 3 that I have next year, like Herbert, Watson, Justin Jefferson, Drake London as my like staples with all those first round picks. And I tell you that I have 4 1s this year and I have the 101, 102, and 103 currently in that league. And those 2 guys that traded me, guess what picked where they thought they'd be picking?
Late.
Yeah,
exactly. That's how they always do it.
102 and 103 right now because they had guys. I traded them guys like Keenan Allen and like guys like that have been older pieces that haven't worked out. Mike Williams.
You took advantage of some tacos in that league, eh?
Yeah, it was nice. Like the year I was competing was the first year I was in the league. I had the like Herbert, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams stack, and it was pretty dope. But I'm like, dude, I gotta rebuild this team.
Can we talk about the fact that you traded? Wait, is that the league where you traded 3 late ones? Like literally one.
That was the league I traded. Or no, that was a different league. I already had Herbert in this league.
Oh, was that the league you took over for?
Faded was the league I traded 3 late ones for Justin Herbert and a 2023 second. That is currently the 201.
I'm 1-1, or I'm 1-7 in the MML right now, and I'm currently projected 59 points this week.
Yeah. Domain says 20K subscribers by end of season. I mean, I hope so. I'm hoping we can get there. I think I said by the NFL draft in one of the videos. I think that would be more realistic, but hopefully by the end of the season.
That'd be nice.
The dyno I'm talking about that I'm in is a 1 quarterback league too. So Bijan is going to be the 101. Yeah, in a 1 quarterback league, the 102 and 101 is probably going to be a pretty big difference. So if they're willing to accept a late first, which is probably what it'll cost you to move up from 102 to 101, it's the difference between Gibbs and Bijan, or one of the wide receivers in Bijan.
A lot more fair than my other dynasty trade. Sold 2 mid 2023 seconds. Dolphins now should to wow. Why do they need running backs? What the fuck? Yeah, you fucking sold that.
Needed running backs. So he traded for Derrick Henry.
No.
Oh no,
Jonathan got Henry and Metcalf for a package I wouldn't take for Metcalf on his own.
I'll read you guys some of my running back cores of my rebuilding teams, and this is why you don't need running backs. So on Get Faded, the team that I'm currently sitting at the 101 in, my starting 2 running backs are Kevin Harris and Tyler Algier. And Algier was just like a 3rd round pick that I just, I have Algier in a lot of leagues because of that, because he just was going in the 3rd round. I'll go to, where's the other league here? We got Bitcoin League. Okay, here, my running backs this week are Kevin Harris yet again and Rex Burkhead. And then on my bench, I got like Devontae Freeman, Mike Boone, and I traded Marquise Brown in a late second for Javonte Williams after he got injured too. So like, I'm just chilling in that league.
Oh yeah, my running backs in MML right now are currently Kenyon Drake, Tyler Algier, Dontrell Hilliard, Matt Breida, Damian Harris, and Dearness Johnson.
That's a little too good.
I know, but the fucking nobody wants to trade for running backs in that
Yeah,
league.
no kidding.
I got Damian Harris in like the 13th round or 12th round
Dude,
of the
Damian Harris
startup.
was always like a really cheap like dynasty asset, even like 2 years ago before he had his season last year.
I think I got Kenyon Drake off waivers for $0 in a dynasty
Yeah.
league. I got Tyler Algier. What pick? I got him at the 211 in the rookie draft. Let me see here. Dontrell Hilliard, I got off waivers for $0. Matt Breida, I got off waivers for $0. Damon Harris, I picked in the 11-10 in the startup. And Dearness Johnson, I believe I got off waivers for $0. Yeah. So I just picked up a bunch of guys off waivers for $0.
Yeah.
And like if fucking Kareem Hunt got traded, like Dearness Johnson probably would have netted me like Dearness and a 2 or Dearness and a 3 for a late 2 probably.
Yeah. For sure. Okay, so I traded Justin Jefferson, Hollywood, Rachaad White, CPAT, and a second and a third for the presumptive 101 and Jamar Chase. Okay, so simplicity's sake, Chase and Jefferson cancel each other out, right?
Yes. So
Hollywood,
White, CPAT.
Rachaad White, CPAT,
Yes.
a second and a third. Yeah, give me Bijan there.
Wow.
No, that is yeah. I also, for what it's worth, DJ Nothing, I prefer Chase over Jefferson too.
They're close, but like they're like fucking pick your poison.
They're both elite.
Would you rather have Hollywood with Kyler or DJ Moore dynasty? I think you gotta go with Hollywood.
I'd rather have Hollywood over DJ Moore at face value, let alone that you have Kyler also.
If Mark Andrews out, you guys prefer Likely for me.
100%. Yeah, Likely is the guy that you want to go with there.
It's likely I'd pick Likely. No, that was cringe. Higbee, Otten, Taysom, pick one full P.
Give me Taysom Hill there.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, the ceiling outcome there for it with Taysom Hill too. Like if they're out more receivers, like if Landry doesn't end up suiting out up, we know that Thomas is going to be out because he's on IR and he's probably out for the year. I think Taysom Hill will be heavily involved. Andy Dalton's actually played really well too. I know he's had like some pick sixes and shit, but like a lot of those were like tip passes and stuff. His PFF grade's like really, really good. It's like the best of his career right now.
Yep. Saw DJ Moore and sell high. Are y'all starting him over Garrett Wilson this week? Let's go Zach Wilson. I would still start DJ over him pretty easily.
Yeah, I would as
well. Don't think it.
I like Garrett Wilson without Corey Davis in the lineup. I think he's going to get peppered again, but man, I just don't trust Zach Wilson against the Bills defense. I think the way that doesn't work out for you is that Zach Wilson gets benched at the end of the first quarter and Joe Flacco comes in and just lights the Bills defense on fire.
Did you see this graphic?
No, what is it?
Sorry, I'm just looking in the Lasso League. This lineup last week would have lost to Deontay Foreman.
That's hilarious.
Bro, that's fucked. Fucking I swear I have like Kenny and Drake in like fucking 5 leagues. Like he's just free. And I'm like, okay, well, like this is still like a decent running back that's gonna get an opportunity somewhere and that can probably net me a higher value in season than I'm gonna pay now. So
yeah, the problem with those running backs is like people aren't stupid sometimes, at least not in the leagues that I play in. They're not going to give you a 3rd round pick for Kenyon Drake. Like it's just never going to happen. So the only way you get like anything out of Kenyon Drake is just recycling him for 4ths, or in package deals. If you give him like Drake plus, some other guy that's getting opportunity like him, like a Foreman and Drake for like a 3rd.
Agreed. But yeah, fucking. You want to see my matchup this week for one of my home leagues, and I'll show you the other one. But so I'm projected to lose by 15 right now, but like literally my whole team's on fucking bye, so it makes sense. Hurts and Dorsett combined for about almost 30 points. So I mean, it's about what I could have asked for them, pretty much.
Oh, also shout out to Chris Moore, by the way, who I put in my lineup in my home league, and he sked 45 yards at a touchdown. You love to see that.
Fuck's sakes. I have to face the Herbert Eckler stack. That's not fun.
No, that is going to be a lot of PPR scoring for Eckler this week.
Foreman, who, by the way, this is wacky. You want to see this? Deontay Foreman. Just so happened that I picked him up, right? And before, I already told the story, but before he got the workload last week or 2 weeks ago, like Chuba Hubbard got like the first 7 carries of the game. And in my matchup, the other guy had Hunter Renfrow. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to pick up Mac Hollins using Foreman. He's not got the role that I thought he would. So I'm just going to pick up Mac Hollins to play a blocker in case Renfrow doesn't play, so my opponent can't pick someone up. Just so happens, as soon as I drop Deontay Foreman, Chuba gets hurt and Deontay Foreman fucking explodes in the 4th quarter.
I wouldn't have dropped him in that situation. I'd rather have Mac Hollins off the waiver wire screw me than drop a ambiguous backfield situation that led to it. too.
No, it was probably, to be fair, I thought I could pick him up right after the week because I didn't think he'd get the usage. And then oddly enough, as soon as I dropped him, he got the usage. Went
Yeah.
for 51 fab dollars right after I dropped him. Like
Yeah,
that.
I've
like,
dropped
a couple days
45
ago.
on him the week that
Yeah.
I got him.
On the bright side, I have him in a couple other leagues, but that is an oof. And now Deontay Foreman's probably pissed off. He's like, yeah, no, this is a revenge game. I'm upset. Danny fucked me over. He dropped me in the middle of my game. I am devastated. Yeah, he's gonna
Horns,
fuck
baby.
me.
That's how these Longhorns do things.
Yep.
Anyway, we're gonna head out of here in a second. Here we got. Thanks y'all. It's a pleasure week in and week out. Appreciate it. Nothing. Appreciate all you guys in the chat for your continued support. We will be having, as always, Sunday morning live stream tomorrow morning. We'll be doing our dynasty. We're going to record our dynasty decisions like right after we're done this. So if you guys that are listening to this have submissions, by all means, send them to us. We'll probably have that. I don't know if we'll be able to get that up today. I'll do my best to get that up today. If we can't, it'll be on Monday at the very latest.
Yeah.
Definitely stay tuned for that. Like I said, Sunday morning live stream. Go check out the running back and wide receiver start sits if you haven't already done so. But yeah, that being said, peace out. Hook 'em horns today against K-State. And make sure to watch the Georgia Tennessee game. That'll be a lot of fun from an NFL draft perspective as well. But yeah, take it easy.
See ya.